Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Pemko number 172 SN threshold. This is a commercial saddle type threshold. If you use your imagination, it kind of looks like a saddle is why they would call it that. And the 172 is representative of the dimensional properties of this item and its profile. And there is an image below this video that will show you the dimensional properties, and let's go over that now. As you can see from that image, the threshold is 6 inches wide, and that its height is ½ inch. Now, the confluence of 6 by half make this an incredibly common threshold. And why so? Well, its depth is compatible with typical jam depths of hollow metal frames that are maybe 5 3/4. You might want something a little smaller or wider if you're going to try to put or cope this around a 5 3/4 frame. But 6 inches is very compatible with frames, and I think it's a better choice if you have a 5 3/4 or a 6 3/4 or an 8 3/4 jam depth, that you have a threshold with that is commiserate with the overall size. I've walked into openings where there's 12-inch jam depth custom frames and there's just 4-inch saddle thresholds, and it looks odd, all that exposed concrete. The threshold should be more compatible with an overall depth, and 6 inches more compatible in lots of instances. Or you might just need 6 inch to bridge the gap that you're dealing with, or whatever the floor condition is. ½ inch is very compatible as well, because a typical undercut is going to be 3/4 inch under a hollow metal door, so ½ inch works very well in that sort of regard. And I think, however, that something like this might work out exceptionally well if you have a in-swinging hollow metal frame that's 5 3/4 deep. You're going to basically flush to this point here, perhaps. The door is going to sit in this area. You can have a door sweep come and lap up against the face of the beveled edge. Okay. You can have an automatic door bottom. You can do a drip cap on the outside. If it's outswing, you can do the same sort of scenario. Have it come right to that edge, and then the rest of this depth is very compatible with what you're already dealing with. Regardless of what its compatibility with what you're working with, this is 6 inch, and if that works for you, great. Now, the SN in the part number is satin nickel, and I want to show you very clearly, this is SN from Pemko. Some people will say, you know, that's not really satin nickel and doesn't match, it's not what I expected. So this video is to help provide absolute evidence of what the satin nickel, or SN, is from Pemko. Now, true, I've seen some satin nickels that from Pemko, and honestly, they don't look nearly as faithful as this example does. However, this satin nickel is certainly more compatible with a stainless or a satin chrome look than would be dark bronze. So, because this is an aluminum base material with an anodized process, satin nickel is going to be something that would be considered complementary to the color of satin nickel. Not absolute, because true satin nickel would be made of solid brass with a satin nickel finish on it. This is aluminum, so it's going to be, the attempt is to make it faithful in that regard. Other finishes, this is available in A for mill aluminum finish. You can do an AK, which would be an anti-slip coating, a coarse coating over a mill threshold. B, let's stick with the aluminum base materials. D for dark bronze, and I'm looking at my list here. G for gold anodized, which would be a matte gold. And then SN for satin nickel. Now, there's another base material, and that would be architectural bronze, or just call it brass. Now, onto that, you can do, you can order it just in a mill finish, or in addition to it being available in just mill finish, which would be raw extruded architectural bronze, you can do a 605 for polished brass, a 606 for satin brass, a 613 for oil rubbed bronze. Pemko can even emulate very faithfully a 612 finish satin bronze with a process that they do over it. So if you need a threshold that is made of solid brass, or architectural bronze. They can do that in this saddle type as well. Now, where would you use that? Well, honestly, and speaking plainly, if you have a 5-star hotel in the West Antilles and you have a giant courtyard area where weddings are held and you've got pairs of doors flanking that area, you're not going to put in a piece of aluminum. That's just, you're going to use a piece of architectural bronze. The front door of Chicago City Hall, the front door of museums down on the museum campus, those all have solid architectural bronze thresholds. And why? Well, the installation is why, the longevity of the installation. And back to the residential aspect, if you're building a $2 million house, you're not putting in a $40 threshold. Solid architectural bronze is significantly more durable at long-lasting installations. I've seen bronze thresholds that have been installed after decades of use. They're still working. Aluminum doesn't hold up. And true, a lot of the success is going to come into the speaking from an installation perspective, the success of the long-term installation is going to be based on how well the material was installed. If it was me, I'd look to use lead anchors and machine screws rather than just a screw into or a tapcon, etc. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. Now, this threshold is going to be listed in the website and everything from 2 foot to 8 foot lengths. If you have need for something longer than 8 foot, we can supply that. We just don't list it because the cost to ship the material is generally prohibitive, but we will happily quote that for you. If you need 30 of them, the cost to ship them is not good. If you need 30 14-foot lengths, the shipping cost will not seem so painful, whereas one piece at 9 foot, the cost of the material will seem insignificant to the cost of shipping. If you have need for a custom length, by all means let us know by ordering the next longest piece or pieces and simply indicate in the comment field what length you'd like for us to cut the material back to, and we'll be happy to do so. Why? Well, frankly, you may not want to have to chop that down. You might not have a saw that's deep enough to cut that entire area. You might not want to have to contend with drilling and countersinking a new hole and then having the centers not uniform down the length of the threshold. However you like it, we'll supply it. If you have need for a custom length, by all means let us know by ordering the next longest piece or pieces and simply indicate in the comment field the net length you'd like for us to send it to. We'll cut it to the right length. We'll give you that first countersink at the proper distance from the edge and the proper centers as well. Finally, there is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Pemko products that we sell, but also a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. If you have any questions on the Pemko number 172 SN 6x1/2 satin nickel anodized aluminum commercial saddle threshold, or any other Pemko product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.